So much going on. It's crazy. Everything going on. Seems amazing. Seems awesome. One of the things though, however, their Doge is in there getting all the fraud out of here, all kinds of awesome things going on. Trump's just taking on what seems the beast, the world powers, the deep state, the Illuminati, the Council on Foreign Relations. He's taking them head on. Let's go. The Marxist globalists. Okay, it seems like that, right? And so you can't debate hardly anything going on. I guess, maybe Israel. That's a odd subject. I've been my head spinning trying to wrap my mind around everything going on. We've talked about a lot of crazy things going on here lately. One of the things, though, we've really been trying to pin down is, could there be a more sinister, deeper thing at play going on? We've talked about here, I'm starting to become a little worried more and more about, for example, we've given some examples. Could Black Lives Matter and Antifa and defund the police actually just be a psyop, right? Because as those things, there was 450 protests nationwide that went into anarchy, oftentimes in many cities, creating tens of billions of dollars of damage everywhere, and burning shit down everywhere, burning down even police stations, defund the police. People were thousands of people beaten half to death, dozens of people killed. So even dozens of police officers killed through that. And so anyone with common sense is like, what the hell's going on? Do people actually believe that we should actually not have police? There's tons of people on the streets. We just don't want police at all. Let's do away with the police. And then on top of that, they're saying the biggest danger, the psyops going on, the biggest danger is white supremacy. The biggest danger in America is white supremacy, and we see all the news media were saying that, just pumping that in like, oh my God, we can't even go to Walmart, just white supremacists everywhere. And then everybody knows, like, what are you talking about? And then they show footage of these white nationalist supremacists, and it's like, they couldn't even show legit footage of really, the mass murder of white supremacists. And then we actually come to find out they were paid informants from the FBI, doing that. Okay. And just all the nonsense we saw going on, the J6 hoax. And so when we come in and say, well, the obvious is that it's actually underpoliced, especially in inner cities, they're underpoliced. In many inner cities, it takes over an hour for a police officer to arrive to a 911 call. Okay. Over an hour. And many of them, it's over 45 minutes. It needs to be like less than 10 minutes. You call 911, you get help. So it's actually underpoliced. And so as people, kind of get their eyes open, they're like, oh my God. And so then what happens? The police becomes militarized, right? Okay. It's like army tanks and, ARs and whatever, big bombs, grenade, like all the crazy stuff. It's like, could all of that be by design by the beast to then create full-blown support, like 80% support? No, we need more police as people begin to open their eyes. Same thing with USAID. What's up, Levi? How's it going, my man? So same thing with USAID. It's like 99.9% of our tax dollars are going to waste and fraud and nonsense. Okay. It's like billions and trillions and hundreds of millions and billions and trillions and billions. It's like, we've already found $800 trillion. Like, if you just, it's like, wait. And then they're like, he's already saved 50 billion. Well, I thought it was like $18 trillion. It's like just every 5 seconds, this, that, and the other, just waste, scams, outright insanity. Everybody's head spinning. It's uncovering all the fraud. It's like we're living in the Truman Show here. It's just a lot of it, in fact, revolving around censoring speech. That's how the CIA works with USAID. They go and they create informants and radicalize, and then go after, that they just bombard, like kind of like what Black Lives Matter did. And they control the narrative, they control the media, they control the news, which is also what USAID went towards. A lot of it went towards funding the news, like Politico, pretty much funding all of the news stations and news organizations to the tune of hundreds of millions of dollars. Okay, USA doing that. So they create a narrative, they radicalize things like such as trans stuff, transgender stuff. And when you talk to hosts of transgender people, actual transgender people, they're saying, no, those are not transgender people. Those are fake. They're not real transgender people. They're just being radicalized, and it's just a psyop. It's not even real. That's not a trans person. So the trans people are saying, hey, we don't want to be on the billboard, trans. We don't want to be out there on social media, promoting trans. We don't want to infiltrate our elementary schools, and little kids with drag queens. We don't want to go infiltrate the military with trans. Okay. So it's obviously a USAID, CIA, this is how they function in all these different countries, as they're trying to topple governments, overthrow governments, and then put in our own dictators even. That's how it works. Okay. And so could even the USAID stuff be, it's totally legit, obviously, but could that even be by design, right? So then how could somebody like Trump and Elon Musk come on the scene and garner 70 to 80% support? You create all this evil, all this nonsense, all this fraud purposefully. If you're the beast, the powers that be, the world powers, the EU and the UN and the Council on Foreign Relations and, whatever, the WHO and the World Economic Forum and all that. Okay. With like what we saw with COVID and Bill Gates and Anthony Fauci coming in, they took over the media. They psyoped the whole world to become a bunch of vaccine promoting cabal. It's like the vaccine promoting cabal. They actually created COVID. They have 3 more strands that are already created in labs. They have 63 other bioweapons, okay, here in America and things like that. They control the media. They demonize anyone that disagrees with the narrative. That's okay. And so everybody sees that now. Like, people's eyes are getting opened. We had it's like every week we have new big time studies that are coming out showing, nope, like the vaccine is not a vaccine. For one, it's a genetic, it's like a genetic modifying experiment, essentially. Okay. And so we even have all that's being shut down, even in the World Health Organization being shut down. Okay. That no, this vaccine, whoa, pause. We were wrong about the masks. We were wrong about COVID and the vaccine. Everything was lies. So people are like, oh my gosh, we got duped into this. And so it garners the same thing here. It garners support for everything Doge is doing, right? And I'm all for it. I love it. Let's root out all the corruption. We got to get it out of here. It's mind-blowing. We've kind of known this is going on, but this is like on whole different other levels of what we've ever imagined. Okay. Could it, though? This is what we've been worried about a little bit. Could it all be by design? So to garner that type of support, right? And so Dems are switching sides in droves. Everybody's getting their eyes open to the corruption of the government. And we have the nonsense still going on, controlled opposition, okay, on both sides, controlled opposition on both sides, controlled opposition. What does that mean? We have the liberal left media, which is pretty much everything, they control everything. And they're like terrorist organizations, like just straight up. Okay. And then, and people get their eyes opened to just the lies, an endless amount of lies and nonsense, controlled opposition. Well, some of the same people, Rupert Murdoch is also he owns Fox News and a lot of the liberal media, right? And they're all in cahoots. So they control the opposition to control the narrative. That's part of just Communist Manifesto 101. Okay. And we're going to hit on free speech. Communist Manifesto 101 is, that's right, Luke. Yeah, baby. Communist Manifesto 101, you censor speech, you control the news, you control the universities and the schooling. Okay. You control both sides. Right. But what it seems is that Trump is an outsider, right? He's come in, and same with Elon. They've, especially now Trump 2.0, his eyes are way more opened. He sees all this nonsense going on, and he is just, boom, he's been phenomenal, just following through with everything he said, garnering all that support. But let's not forget, that's how Hitler did his deal too, right? He was like the hero when it was no brain, common sense, and churches were putting swastikas up on their crosses. Okay. So in support of Hitler. And then what happened? Okay. So just look at how crazy. I'm going to show a few videos here. Look at how crazy this is. What's really going on with Twitter? Like we talked about with SpaceX, even, and Elon Musk. How did Elon go from 100 billion net worth to 460 billion? I'm not even 100% sure that's actually true, but that's what the numbers show. 450 or 60 billion net worth. Where did he get all that money just over the last, 4 years? So, okay. And then we love what Elon's been doing with X. It's been amazing. Free speech, it's been like a breath of fresh air for me. It's been great. Okay, but there's a couple things to look at here. When we look at messages such as,
"You're all willing to work with anyone who's serious." Look, let me tell you something. I'll take a bit of umbrage here. I'll speak on behalf of my colleagues. I think I can say we are all willing to work with anyone who's serious about doing the work of censoring the American people and advancing progress.
Okay, wait.
Censoring the American people and advancing progress. Doing the work of censoring the American people and advancing progress. About doing the work of censoring the American people. Serious about doing the work of censoring the American people and advancing progress.
So they're doing the work with those who are serious about censoring the American people and moving progress. Anybody in their right mind that hears that is like, there's no way on earth. Did my ears just fail me? Did she actually say that? So could that be, can she actually be serious? Is she being genuine and authentic and saying, this is what we need to do, is be serious about censoring the American people and moving forth progress? Maybe people are actually that stupid, okay, to believe that. Or is there a deeper play at work? Here's another perfect example. We just saw this lunacy, okay? Free speech was used in Nazi Germany to conduct genocide.
Other than irritating I want to ask you about what happened in Munich, Germany at the security conference. Vice President Vance gave a speech and he told U.S. allies that the threat he worries about the most is not Russia. It is not China. He called it the threat from within, and he lectured about what he described as censorship, mainly focusing, though, on including more views from the right. He also met with the leader of a far-right party known as the AfD, which, as you know, is under investigation and monitoring by German intelligence.
Is under investigate, the far-right radical right wing. So we've been talking a lot about free speech and how it's amazing Elon brought this free speech, right? And okay, and how it's like awesome to see what's going on in Europe because they've been under hardcore tyranny, like evil beyond belief. I can't even believe what's going on out there in Europe. Okay. And that they've even gone as far as to say if the AfD party wins, they're going to do what they did already in Romania, which was just the right person won, the right wing person won in Romania. And they just said, nope, sorry, we're not going to accept the election. Like, okay, they're going that far here with it. And so it's so overwhelmingly mind-blowingly stupid and obvious of just straight communist Nazi psychoticness happening. Could this be by design? Okay. And could this lady, this news lady, actually be this stupid? Okay, just listen.
It's because of extremism. What did all of this accomplish other than irritating our allies?
Why would our allies or anybody be irritated by free speech and by someone giving their opinion? We are, after all, democracies. The Munich Security Conference is largely a conference of democracies in which one of the things that we cherish and value is the ability to speak freely and provide your opinions. And so I think if anyone's angry about his word, they don't have to agree with him, but to be angry about it, I think actually makes his point. I thought it was actually a pretty historic speech, whether you agree with him or not. I think the valid points he's making to Europe is we are concerned that the true values that we share, the values that bind us together with Europe, are things like free speech and democracy and our shared history in winning 2 world wars and defeating Soviet communism and the like. These are the values that we shared in common. And in that Cold War, we fought against things like censorship and oppression and so forth. And when you
so this is just common sense. It's like the good guys came in and brought freedom, right? And that's obviously what Elon's done. I mean, it's been amazing what he's done with Twitter. I got censored and canceled on Facebook, on YouTube. You know, it's like, and all my people did too. And then we saw what happened with J6 and all that, and people being arrested, you know, complete evil weaponization of like Nazi brown shirt shit going on all over the place. And it's like, thank God we're being saved from this tyranny. All right.
He's backsliding and you raise that, that's a very valid concern. We can't tell them how to run their countries. He simply expressed in a speech his view of it, which a lot of people frankly share. And I thought he said a lot of things in that speech that needed to be said. And honestly, I don't know why anybody would be upset about it. People are allowed, you know, you don't have to agree when someone's.
And that's true. Like, how could anyone be upset with, you know, fighting for free speech? It's like obvious, straight up.
Speech. I happen to agree with a lot of what he said, but you don't have to agree with someone's speech to at least appreciate the fact they have a right to say it, and that you should listen to it and see whether those criticisms are valid. I assure you. The United States has come under withering criticism on many occasions from many leaders in Europe, and we don't go around throwing temper tantrums about it.
Well, he was standing in a country where free speech was weaponized to conduct a genocide.
Okay, she actually just said that. All right, just let it sink in. That, like, really? She actually just said that.
And he met with the head of where free speech was
about it.
Well, he was standing in a country where free speech was weaponized to conduct a genocide. And he met
from many leaders in Europe, and we don't go around throwing temper tantrums about it.
Well, he was standing in a country where free speech was weaponized to conduct a genocide. And he met with the head of a political party that has far-right views. And
free speech was weaponized to create a genocide. So what we've seen is such unbelievable stupidity. They can't actually, this lady, it's impossible to believe that she actually believes what she just said. But we're used to it. We're used to seeing this nonsense. We're used to, we can't get a tattoo if we're 17 until we're 18, but we can go get a sex change. We got whatever drag queens in our elementary schools. We got porn. My parents was like, what? You see all these reports? We got men actually competing against women in sports. Hello? So we're used to, they know no bounds of their stupidity with this stuff. They'll go as far as possible, just evil, insane. They'll burn down the damn country. Like we're used to this. The Black Lives Matter nonsense. Okay. It's like who then ended up just stealing tens of millions of dollars with no accountability and disappearing off the face of the earth. Now we have Black Lives Matter, previous Black Lives Matter leaders who are just coming out as whistleblowers, coming out, and speaking against it and talking about how they got sucked in. They're sharing, how evil it was. We got all kinds of stuff coming out about that, but it was funded by US Aid along with George Soros. Okay. It's like all that's coming out. So it was funded by our own tax dollars and then promoted everywhere on the news as a good thing, even as they're burning down cities and just literally just invading people's homes and stuff. Like, and then if you fought against it, you got in trouble for fighting against it. It's like, everything is ass backwards and evil just everywhere. Okay. And so what does this cause you to want to do? What does this cause you when you see this nonsense? I mean, I'll tell you what, I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. I'm drinking the Donald Trump Kool-Aid, right? I'm drinking the Elon Musk Kool-Aid. Like, how can you not fight against this absolute obvious nonsense evil? It's obvious. So how can you disagree what they're doing? Wow, he's actually following through with all the things he promised. What else? Okay, here's what it also makes me want to do. Oh, you want to censor speech, do you? Okay, you dumb motherfuckers. Let's censor all you left-wing dumbasses. How about we censor all the news stations that just peddle endless lies every day? I'd be on board for that, right? Why don't? Oh, you want censoring of speech? Let's start censoring lies. Okay, but could that be by design? Think about this for a second. It knows no ends and no bounds to their insanity. And so a response is, I'll tell you what, man, the media is just so damn out of touch. It's just out of control. We need to shut them down. Could that be by design? Where 70 or 80% like this it's so obviously nonsensical that it's like, all right, we've had enough of this insane lunacy. Why don't we censor them? Could that be the whole agenda even? Mm-hmm.
Some historic ties to extreme groups. The context of that was changing the tone of it.
Marco Rubio's like, what the fuck? Did you actually just say that? I'm trying to process that. Did you actually just say what you just said?
And you know that the censorship
I have to disagree with
was
you.
specifically about the right.
No, I have to disagree with you. Free speech was not used to conduct a genocide. The genocide was conducted by an authoritarian Nazi regime that happened to also be genocidal because they hated Jews and they hated minorities and they hated those that they.
So it's just obvious. So then Marco Rubio just speaks obvious and he just lights it up here.
Had a list of people they hated.
And then she looks like a dumbass and they have to cut and go to commercial. Okay. And so he just like sets the record straight. Duh. Hello. Did she really just like, what has come of the news? How about 60 Minutes? What's become of 60 Minutes? they're already getting sued and losing, they're losing all their money here from all these lawsuits. All right.
Officers searched a suspect.
So 60 Minutes did a piece promoting how in Germany they need to handle, they're actually promoting police officers coming in and arresting people for social media posts. They're promoting it. Okay.
It's 6:01 on a Tuesday morning, and we were with state police as they raided this apartment in northwest Germany. Inside, 6 armed officers searched a suspect's home, then seized his laptop and cell phone. Prosecutors say those electronics may have been used to commit a crime. The crime, posting a racist cartoon online.
Okay. It's like, wait, when you watch this full deal, the crime was posting a racist cartoon? This is like Nazi Germany shit. This is Hitler, Stalin, Chow, Mussolini. Come on.
At the exact same time, across Germany, more than 50 similar raids played out. Part of what prosecutors say is a coordinated effort to curb online hate speech in Germany.
Okay.
It's 6:01 on a
I actually played the wrong piece there. I wanted so they interview the guys, the police there, and the police are like, yeah, I mean, if I say something to somebody, that's one thing, but when I post it online, it stays there infinitely. And so this is important that we censor speech. That was their reasoning. And 60 Minutes was actually agreeing. They're like going along with this. Can they actually be that stupid? Is it even possible? And so what the hell's really going on? We've been hearing this. We even heard Joe Biden, his very last words from the White House before he left was, we're under threat of misinformation. They're taking down all the fact checkers like they did with COVID, for example, demonizing everybody for not getting the vaccine, forcing people to get the vaccine. Just all the shaming. They were almost practically calling you a murderer if you didn't get the vaccine. You're murdering my grandmother if you come in contact with her and you pass COVID on to her. Okay. And it doesn't even make sense that we had the face mask wearing Nazis, the face mask promoting cabal. And they made like 70 or 80% of the world's population join the cabal. Okay. And then a ton of people had their eyes opened on how stupid it was. And now the real truth is coming out that we created COVID. We let it out. The vaccine is not a vaccine at all. And that Bill Gates and all those guys, Anthony Fauci, made hundreds of millions and billions of dollars. All right. And the vaccine company, the pharmaceutical companies, it's all corrupt. We need to get this corruption out of here. We just need to get in there and get them out. Let's all these guys get Bernie Sanders out of here. He's lying, all these guys, right? I mean, and it's like, can they really be that dumb? Like Bernie Sanders straight up is just like, no, like he lied, denying that he took the money, from pharmaceutical companies. He said they're all poor people, all the average Joe. Only the average Joes donated to me. Like, no, like we actually have the info that you in 2020 were like the number one. You were the most paid by the pharmaceutical companies of anybody. And like Senator Warren was second, like all the corruption and nonsense. And it's just so obvious to anybody that opens their eyes. They're just lying. Okay. But what is there? Here's our question. Here's my question. Is there a deeper play? Because, so what's going on? Like, wow, it's been amazing, right? On X, free speech, right? Free speech. We got free speech. Here it is right there. All right. But then I look at this, you know, I should real quick, I could explore that. Somebody from Twitter said everyone has the right to free speech, but not to be promoted. Okay. We talked about here in the past lately that in order to become a big influencer, this is like the cabal. You gotta, and I've been deep in that world before in the past. You got to become a part of the cabal, basically, to become an influencer, or you kind of get blackballed. Okay, so it takes so to become monetized on Twitter, get a load of this. This is insane. I'm like, Elon, what the hell? It takes 5 million impressions on X in order to become monetized. Like, am I reading this wrong? It's right there. This is to become monetized. If you want to become monetized, this is just a few of the things. But this is the one that's like the 5 million impressions within 3 months. So even a decently sized account on X, 20, 30,000 followers, that's tough, man, to get 5 million impressions. So that's why people are constantly engagement farming on X, and we see it. It's this game you got to play, and you got to try and get in with the other influencers, and they cross promote each other. But what is being really, let's find real quick, 5 million organic impressions within the last 3 months. That's a lot, you know. Now, for some people, they do that every day. No big deal. But to get to that, I'll tell you this. There's people, okay, my favorite people, even Elon Musk himself, people like Dan Bongino, people like Trish Reagan, the InfoWars, all the InfoWars guys, Alex Jones, Megyn Kelly, my guy, Benny Johnson. I could go on and on. Charlie Kirk, Ben Shapiro. We could keep going. I mean, all these guys, Michael Knowles, and good stuff going on. I literally go and like and comment on every single stream every single day. And I literally like every single one of their posts every single day and comment on many of them. I give them shout outs. And then other even smaller influencers. Okay. I give them shout outs and likes, people that I can tell, oh, Elon Musk is grooming this guy. Elon Musk will groom people. And you can see, like, he'll retweet from what appears to be a little guy. And then before you know it, they become big time influencers because he'll promote them. So even those guys that are just coming in and coming up, I'll like, you know, I'll comment. And when I comment and like, anytime they look at their feed and their notifications, they got to be seeing Crypto Grady. It's because it's all day, every day. And on I'm never on Facebook much, but on YouTube, on Rumble. Okay. And I can tell you, I never even get a heart from any of them, a like, not even a like, because, and I kind of get how this works. I'm not part of the cabal. They got to be careful, you know, who they're promoting out there. And so let's search here. All have the right to speak, but not all have the right to be. I think it's like it rhymed. Speak. We all have freedom of speech, but not freedom of. It's like promoted. Yeah. So we should always have this deep within ingrained in our soul. You never let up on free speech. So I might not agree with what you say, but I'll defend to the death your right to say it. That is the spirit here. Okay, but what's really going on? The dangers of AI are abstract for many people, but for me, they are very real. In 2 weeks, okay. So, man, there is somebody that said, okay, this 60 Minutes is saying free speech needs boundaries. Without boundaries, a very small group of people can rely on endless freedom to say anything they want, while everyone else is scared and intimidated. Well, no, that's literally been the leftist playbook. It's the leftist playbook. So that's obvious. Okay. The right to be like promoted. I'm just going to say promoted, but I don't think that's the right. Are they not going to say it? Somebody on X said, not everyone has the right to be promoted, something along those lines. So we often take our ability to speak freely for granted. Other places, people feel real consequences for their words, so we cherish it and use it wisely. Like, yeah. So this is obvious. And so Elon, okay, I think this is the more full picture. Can anyone actually believe this is going?
Inside, 6 armed officers searched a suspect's home, then seized his laptop and cell phone. Prosecutors say those electronics may have been used to commit a crime. The crime, posting a racist cartoon online. At the exact same time across Germany, more than 50 similar raids played out. Part of what prosecutors say is a coordinated effort to curb online hate speech in Germany.
They're in favor of this. Do you understand?
So we're used to this. We're used to this. All right. Our boy Harrison Smith probably killing it in his breakdown there. I love his breakdowns. Okay. But these guys, are they all part of a cabal for one? So is it controlled opposition? Like that you can't disagree with what he's going to say. I haven't heard this yet today, but let's hear it.
Curb online hate speech in Germany.
And we're used to this, right? We're so used to them curbing hate speech nonsense.
They're in favor of this. Do you understand? They're in favor. They want to.
They didn't show, though, by the way. I just thought I saved the right one, but I guess I didn't, where they show their reasoning. And the 60 Minutes interviewer is like, yeah, I mean, that's good. Like, they totally are in favor of it. It's very true.
Model America's laws after Europe's. 6 armed agents breaking into a home and stealing a man's laptop and his cell phone because he posted a cartoon on the internet. I almost like to see the same segment with CBS News. They're going around, they're filming it, and yes, we have to seize this for hate speech. These computers were used to put up illegal material on the internet. And they're like, yes, wow, so efficient the way you're doing this. 50 raids across Germany. That sounds like it's a really big threat. So what exactly did they post? It's like, well, they were posting Jewish propaganda. They were posting pictures with the Star of David, the Hanukkah candles, the menorah. These are illegal symbols. It's like, well, wait. I thought I was for this. Wait, I thought I was for this. No, wait, that sounds very Nazi-ish. But would it really look all that different if the Germans were Nazis today? Would what we just saw be any different except for what the content was? It's like you have this whole construct on this anti-Nazi principle, but you're violating those very principles in upholding the construct. Do you not get how this is utterly nonsensical? Makes no sense, even a little bit.
Okay. So I can't seem to find, really what I was looking for there about how X said we all have the right to free speech, but we don't all have the right to be promoted on the platform of X. Okay. And so, man, it's what's being developed here is an army of freedom fighters. So we think. I mean, we hope. We hope that's what's going on, right? Like hardcore. We're going to fight. We're at war, essentially, here. And it's like unfettered power. Hopefully not unfettered power. So could this be a playbook that we're not seeing yet of just everybody's on board with fighting against such obvious, blatantly obvious evil? Like, it's so overwhelmingly, blatantly obvious. It's so mind-boggling. Are people actually believing that men who identify as women should be able to compete in women's sports? Were people really on board, for example, with the DEI stuff, especially with the airlines, with the DEI stuff? They were promoting people with severe psychological problems, blind and deaf people, and firing. There's 1,000 lawsuits. Like, it's real. It really happened. 1,000 lawsuits of people that got fired from the AAF, the whatever it is, the airlines, like how the DEI infiltrated everything, our education, our every branch of government was all about spending tens of millions of dollars to educate even our military, to educate our military and indoctrinate with this nonsense. Everybody got sick of it. And now it's like, could that all be by design? Could that all be on purpose? That's the biggest question. And so X is like, he's going to make it a payment platform. He's going to X is, I was drinking the Kool-Aid. I'm just, because I lived through it myself. People that lived through the J6 stuff, people that have lived through all this evil nonsense. Here's another example. Like over a decade ago on Facebook, I was on Facebook and I was like freaking out over the human sex trafficking. This is over a decade ago. And I was posting on Facebook and I was freaking out about the immigration, especially in Europe, how they're just getting overrun by Muslims and what they were doing out there. And, I was posting about it every day, all day, just endless videos of awful shit and the mass gang rapes and rape culture. And now it's like after over a decade, now everybody's talking about it because Elon was posting, I was very closely following Elon right when Trump won the election back in early November. And so I turned on those notifications and for a month straight, and then I went back even further and looked at his previous posts. He was posting 30 times a day about the gang rape culture in Europe. And I'm talking like he was just relentlessly exposing cases, individual people, individual cases, and different pieces, and just and he drilled it home so hard. If you really just were following that you can't debate it. It was so overwhelming. And it was every day I'd wake up and look at all these posts, and I was sharing it with my ex-wife, and it was like bringing tears to my eyes. For real, like tears, real tears. Like it's like a little taste of heaven every time I saw Elon post exposing the evil going on all over the world. And it's like, how can you not just get all the way on board? He's finally, he's exposing all this nonsense going on in Europe, where they're arresting people for tweets and social media posts. Oftentimes, like they are arresting the victims of rape. People get raped and then try and press charges and expose it on social media, and the victim gets arrested. Like, and it happened thousands of times. Last year alone, just in Great Britain, over 4,000 people got arrested for social media posts. Anybody in their right mind knows that's evil nonsense. And so the obvious response is, wow, thank God for Elon. Has Elon really changed? Because we've had a lot of concerns about Elon, right? From the past. Did Elon really like wake up? Maybe, I mean, my takeaway was Elon. One of the things I want to hit on, I might even just do it right now. I'm going to end this. I might talk about the transhumanism. Okay. ODD has a great video on that. I think I'll just do that. Go right into it. Because, man, you know, there's a lot of red flags from Elon from the past. But my takeaway was like, whoa, maybe Elon, you know, really just woke up to how bad, you know, kind of the optics are. Elon was a Democrat. He was anti-Trump. He was out there in California. And then the left always turns on their own, just like with Joe Rogan, with countless people, the left always turns on their own. We've seen it. Now some of the most radical Republican, you know, right-wing people are previous lefties. A lot of them. We see it everywhere now because and I watched it in real time, how the left devoured Elon. He was their heralded hero. And as soon as he disagreed with one little thing, I can't even remember what it was, and he tried to speak out against something going on in California, they just demonized him. And so he's like, all right, then I'm just moving Tesla out of here. Here we come, Texas. Here we come, Nevada. We saw that happen in real time. And then Elon just slowly kept getting more and more demonized all the way up until, you know, here recently, it's like, wow, Elon buys X just to say free speech. Maybe Elon really did open his eyes. And I'm still hoping that's the case. And he's just now a freedom fighter. Okay, is what we're hoping. But then, you know, maybe he's still working through things and cleaning things up. But 5 million impressions in 3 months to become monetized? Like, in order for a guy like me to do that, and I'm decent at this, but I just won't compromise. So I have to get in with some of these other influencers, sometimes smaller influencers, to get more followers. And then you keep trying to move up the ladder until you get in with another influencer and keep climbing the ladder. And then you get in with another influencer and you do things like create content together, you promote one another. And it's like, you know, you get in there, you work your magic, you work hard, and you can build. It's very hard just to be a guy. Now it's possible if you're just a guy and you're putting out good content every day, consistently, all the time, consistent, steady Freddy, you can just build your brand, right? And that's what I've been thinking about doing, is just kind of just grind and see what happens, and not You know, I still want to be cool and follow all these people and like and know what's going on and hear what's going on, you know, but not just have it already made up in my mind that I'm just going to grind and not try and connect with people that I like, you know, necessarily. I'm not against that, but that's not the focus, is just connecting with all these people because you already like them, you know, which I love. For example, Alex Jones and Benny Johnson and, you know, Charlie Kirk and all these guys. And so, you know, I want to get in there and root for them and stuff like that. Maybe, hey, it would be awesome to have my guy on the show. You know, the guys that I've been following for years and years past, your Candace Owens, you know, is another one. Okay. That I remember I watched you get big, Candace Owens, and it's been so cool. I would love to do that. Okay. It'd be awesome. But it's like, well, you know, it's a weird space, the influencer space. So there's Noah. What's up, my man? Start over. Anybody just coming in? 2x speed. Been good. I'm about to end. So it's possible for a guy just to grind. I've seen it. You know, they'll have the grinders. You just have the vision and the passion and the calling to do it. Dude, I love you, man. Noah, love you, my man. To get that vision, right? But it's like what's happened with me is I got so weirded out with the influencer space. I had to like step away and take a break. And I just can't, I don't even know what to think sometimes. And so then it was like I was resurrected with all this going on. I just couldn't even help it. This happened again. This is how it happened in the first place when I first started the channel. I just couldn't help it. I had to come talk about it. So, you know, but I'm starting to wonder, how possible is it really? I've seen guys do it where over, you know, in crypto and in fantasy football, when it wasn't as big with crypto, anybody kind of doing crypto content, it was easy to kind of get big pretty fast back then. Same with fantasy football. To do fantasy, like to give the alpha on fantasy football. Ooh, this is the guy you want to watch here, this channel. And we saw Tom, Dick, and Harry. We saw a lot of people kind of get big, especially in crypto. You know, people that were bringing the alpha, and then it just kind of became weird, sort of like a racket. Okay. And so now multiply that times 1,000,000, and that's politics. This is like the real stuff. So it's interesting how this works. I'm sort of like on this road exploring different things, trying to figure out what the hell's going on, because I can't function any other way than it's pure conviction. Right and wrong. Like, and what we know of, you know, most of these people, it's more about engagement farming, becoming somebody. We all want to become somebody. We all want to be, you know, heard and whatever. It's more about promoting their brand. And what's the things people do in order to do that, it gets weird really fast. You kind of got to join the cabal and bend the knee. And there's no way. It would literally be impossible for me. I couldn't function. I have to be driven by conviction and to be inspired to fight for something, for the underdog, the right, you know, the legit. Okay. And so, you know, it's like they've said it themselves. If I find it, I'll show it in another video. They themselves said it. They're not going to be promoting. You know, they know how to not promote. Everybody has the right to free speech, but not everyone has the right to be promoted. And I saw the clip. I see a million things every day. So I don't have the right search in, or they're hiding it even. Yeah. So anyways, we've talked about, so this is just another potential red flag as, yeah, we might have the right to free speech, but it's not going to go anywhere. The big people, the big influencers are going to be the ones that dominate the media and dominate the narrative. Yes. There you go. Okay. So it's possible, although Elon's been amazing, Doge has been amazing. It's possible that US aid and all these different things, NASA is a money laundering scheme. We've talked about that. Okay. All these different government bureaucracies. It's possible that, they're doing all the right things. You can't be against it hardly. That it's just another way of creating this monster platform here on X where it's not censoring speech, but it's promoting who they want to promote, right? Where anytime Dick and Harry can get on and speak and things, but you'll never see Elon or any of these big dogs tweet, retweet something that's not extremely calculated. That's what I'm noticing. Even though he tweets a gazillion times a day, it's all people, and there's a lot of it. We have the disrespected trucker. We have Insurrection Barbie, just tons of awesome accounts. But are they a part of the cabal? All right. And we also talked about how in the last few videos, another odd thing with Elon, I think I'm just going to stop this video and go live again. We talked about how with Elon on the last video, the term flat earth being a psyop. The term flat earth is synonymous with dumbass. It's literally synonymous with dumbass, and how maybe that is by design because it's real simple. Any forensics expert at all, or any amateur forensics person, can debunk every single picture of the Earth from outer space is fake. Every single one. We don't have a picture of the Earth from outer space. They're all fake. And even NASA themselves admits that. They don't even, they actually admitted it. All of them are fake. We also covered in that last video that all of the NASA videos of outer space are fake. And it's very obvious. All of it is super duper fake. In fact, yeah. So how did Elon get so wealthy just over the past 3 or 4 years? How did he take his net worth from 100 billion to like 450 billion? So it's yeah, Elon has been a hero. It's been awesome. X has been awesome. Doge has been awesome. What's that? Yeah, if Elon fakes his gaming, he fakes all space shit. Yeah, so we saw, I was watching Like a Hawk a few months ago when Elon sent some, something out there to space. And, they say how it has to kind of circle they go in orbit. It goes in the orbit. And that's how they shoot off. They don't go straight up. They kind of like, and they have their reasons. But what they did was we watched it for like 30 minutes straight. And I was watching, we know what they do with the fisheye lenses, okay, to make the earth look round. And I'm not even saying it's not round. I'm just saying we got to forget about the term flat earth because it's there as a psyop to make you think it's stupid. So we trust NASA. All the videos of NASA, of the astronauts we hit on this hard last video, are fake. It's 100%. They actually, people were watching TV in 1968 that the President Nixon called the dudes on the moon, and they within 1 second had a response. And people were actually like, I didn't even know that until recently. So, yeah. Right. And it's funny, like it's like I pretty much always agree with them. And it's like I want it to be real. I'm not out here trying to hate on them, but it's like if the beast, the globalists, the Marxists, the powers that be, whatever, the deep state, whatever we want to call it, the Illuminati, the Council on Foreign Relations, whatever we want to call them, is in control, it's making more and more sense. What's going on is that they even purposefully created the chaos of nonsense and craziness in our society in order to bring in saviors and heroes. They actually are just killing our food. All the chemtrails. It's not a conspiracy anymore. It's like, it's totally verified. And we got RFK coming in. Bobby Kennedy. He's going to clean up our food. We got saviors happening. And you can't disagree with it. I actually believe he's going to come in, and I hope he's going to clean up our food and the vaccine promoting cabal. He's going to come in and, he's going to look deeper into the vaccines. I'm joined. Yeah, but wanted to comment BLM and defund the police. I think they are trying to demonize teachers and police because the pensions are so bloated and bankrupt. Yeah, I mean, maybe. But they were just completely corrupt organizations. It was the same playbook. The playbook here of it's good post there. Fistful of dollars. The same playbook as what my guy, yep. Problem, reaction, solution. That's it. Luke, you nailed it. So my guy, Mike Benz, he calls it the Truman Show we're all living in.
And there's so many.
This is really good. I mean, maybe I should just play it. This is just how they roll.
Options about things. Today, we are going to, I thought about what we would do a research stream on this week. And there's so many options about things that are happening right now. I thought about doing one on one of the videos related to the Brazil report. But the Brazil report is really a story about the vast web of interstitial soft power institutions that situate themselves between the State Department and the CIA. So again, whenever you hear State Department, think CIA and Pentagon. Whenever you hear Pentagon, think State Department and CIA. Whenever you hear CIA, think Pentagon and State Department. All three of them are together. And each of them play a different role in the control and influence of information in a society. The State Department does overt information control through funding direct grants to institutions involved in media. Now, we still call those free and independent media, but they are not. They are government-backed media. The Pentagon is involved in information control through its psychological operations. And the Central Intelligence Agency is the underside of the State Department that does information control and influence, stories, propaganda, and now censorship work through covert activity. So you have overt activity from the State Department, psychological operations from the Pentagon, and covert activity from the Central Intelligence Agency. Now, situated between the State Department and the CIA are a vast web of what we call soft power institutions. And soft power institutions are the alternative to hard power. We have hard power, which is what governed interstate power in the age of empire, in the medieval period, all the way up through the industrial age, all the way up until the end of World War II, when empire was declared to come to an end. We set up the rules-based international order. And what came out of that was a new way of empire through democracy. Democracy is nominally about the hearts and minds of people determining the government rather than a military junta. But what happens when a government doesn't do what you like? Or what happens when another military is threatening to you or your control over natural resources? And the easiest way to defeat that military is simply to regime change that country's government so that the newly installed leader can then stand down the military. Well, we created an apparatus to be able to wage soft power war starting the late 1940s. So soft power is about control over hearts and minds and getting citizen groups in other countries to manipulate enough of the other country's population to be able to ultimately control its government. And that is essentially the story of the Brazil situation through, at the top level, three organizations: the State Department, USAID, and the National Endowment for Democracy. The National Endowment for Democracy and USAID sit in between, essentially, the State Department and the CIA. And I bring up this history because the video we're about to watch today is from 2017. And actually, let me just read it to you. Maybe that's the easiest way to do this. Let me turn this all the way down here. D4, can democracy withstand information revolution? By the Global Security Group, GlobSec, which is a blob entity, as you can imagine. This video only has 644 views, and I'm probably about 600 of them. I'm at least 500 of them. This was streamed live on GlobSec's YouTube channel on May 27th, 2017. This was right in the period when the censorship industry was consensus building about its ultimate structure, the structure we live under today. I'm not going to retrace the whole history. You guys have all heard me sketch out a million times. Even if you're new here, you'll sort of pick it up by osmosis. And I'm just going to read the description. Social media are transforming the world in a much faster way than anyone could have predicted. Traditional media are being challenged by the plurality of internet news and social networks. Okay. Traditional media are being challenged by the plurality of internet news sources and social networks. Traditional media, which was back-channeled by the CIA, State Department, and Pentagon, are being challenged by free speech on the internet. More internet users are relying on the abundance of unfiltered alternative media. Unfiltered alternative media. That is how this group, who you'll meet in a second here, are defining the enemy. Unfiltered alternative media that often spread fake news or propaganda. Search engines and social media work with algorithms that personalize visible content, thus preventing exposure to differing views and reinforcing the confirmation bias. Research shows that again, there's the enemy of globalism, populism, the popular will of the people, notwithstanding the consensus of institutions. Research shows that populist and extremist right-wing groups excel in abusing these algorithms that amplify the propaganda and spread it like a virus across the internet. Populist propaganda spreading like a virus across the internet, challenging the grip over hearts and minds that traditional media has. What can be done to protect internet users from fake news, lies, and propaganda? By the way, all of this, we know this narrative well. We hear it every day now. You did not hear it every day in 2017. This is the origin of this network that you're going to meet here. What can be done to protect internet users from fake news, lies? How can this be done without introducing censorship and impeding freedom of speech? And you will see how quickly they abandoned the guise of not having to use censorship. What is the role of information technology companies in the matter? To what extent do social media platforms bear responsibility for what is regarded as relevant and trustworthy information? How can we fight extremist groups, not terrorist groups? Extremists, meaning you, if you voted for Donald Trump, in the internet battlefield, an environment that they have so successfully mastered. Well, you may be familiar with this language from esoteric academics or wonkish, anodyne Washington Post reporters.
So my point here on the whole video is that It's been slammed down our throat for so long, and they're going through such extreme measures now. Like in Germany, they're busting down people's doors, arresting people for posts. Okay, for social media posts. Could that also be a psyop? Right? Just like Luke said here, problem, reaction, solution. Elon Musk, social media. Now, we've got Mark Zuckerberg, Facebook coming on, to the good side. No one trusts him. Okay, obviously. But could this all be by design? And then they know how to promote certain influencers and suppress others. Okay, that's where I'm taking it. I don't think Mike's going to go there, even though Mike has talked about this as being a concern as well as like people like Whitney Webb, who are very, good at kind of exposing this. Okay.
But this is the topic as it was introduced in mid-2017 by the following group of people. Michael Chertoff, executive chairman and founder of the Chertoff Group, chairman of BAE Systems, former secretary of BHS. He's the chairman, that is the head, the man who gets to decide the president and fire the C-suite, the boss of bosses at BAE Systems. BAE is the largest military contractor in Europe. They are the City of London's equivalent of Raytheon, Boeing, and Lockheed Martin combined. They completely run the British Ministry of Defense, the British military. And that our military industrial complex that we refer to in the US, in the UK, they don't have a military industrial complex, so to speak. They have BAE Systems, which is the entire military industrial complex of the United Kingdom. A lot of great books on BAE Systems if you ever want to read it. And he was the first full-time head of the Department of Homeland Security, after Tom Ridge was only on term for 2 years. From 2003 to 2005. Michael Chertoff was from 2005 to 2009. He's the architect of DHS. And he is in many ways one of the architects, one of the godfather architects of the censorship industry. He's a running character in this origin story. And through all of the groups. He's a director at the Atlanta Council. He co-runs the Aspen Institute's cyber working group, their censorship coordinator. He's affiliated with Brookings, frequently speaks with CSIS, all of the major universities, and all of the major government departments, from the intel agencies into DHS, where the first American censorship agency was created. And if you remember Nina Jankovic, right? Nina Jankovic, the sort of talk of the town, the sort of Harry Potter rock band girl who sung the song about who do I need to blow to make it to the top, and then was slotted in as the head of the Disinformation Governance Board, which only went down in flames because they gave the wrong name. Do you remember who became the interim head of the Disinformation Governance Board when Nina Jankovic was fired? It was Michael Chertoff. Nina Jankovic came from the Wilson Center and came from this CIA British intelligence underbelly called the Integrity Initiative that went down in flames with leaked documents in 2018. And she's a scion of Chertoff. Chertoff was the real force behind the Disinformation Governance Board. That's why he took over when Nina took down. They put, if you want a job done right, you do it yourself. So Michael Chertoff, you'll hear a lot more about him in the months ahead. That's enough for now. Christopher Walker, who's the VP at the National Endowment for Democracy. The National Endowment for Democracy is the top CIA cutout in the entire arsenal of U.S. soft power institutions. The National Endowment for Democracy was created at a time when the CIA's name was dirt, right after the Church Committee hearings in 1975 and 1976. Reagan, the CIA was badly weakened. Jimmy Carter had fired 30% of the operations wing of the CIA. Ronald Reagan's foreign policy staff wanted the CIA to have the fangs back that it had in the 1960s and 70s. They couldn't pull it off politically. And so they worked with CIA Director Bill Colby to set up a new CIA that would be public-facing. And they called it the National Endowment for Democracy. And explicitly, they said the National Bill Colby, the CIA director in 1982, petitioned the Justice Department and President Reagan, calling for a national, saying it has become discrediting when dissident groups that we back around the world are outed as being on the CIA's payroll. And so we would like to set up a national endowment for democracy promotion because it would be terrible if it looked like it came from the CIA. This will be a nominally firewalled off private institution funded by the US government that will do the funding of the dissident groups to promote the same activity that the CIA used to do, that the CIA used to do. But there will be this firewall. It won't be called an intelligence service. It will just be a private independent entity. And it will do the work that the CIA used to do without the CIA's hands being dirty. And they said, and the initial debate over the National Endowment for Democracy, the Senate committee who ultimately was negotiating with CIA Director Bill Colby for it said, well, there has to be a firewall between the CIA and the National Endowment for Democracy. And Bill Colby, the CIA Director, pushed back on that and said, well, there should be a public firewall, but there can't be a total firewall because there are CIA cutout. So, but what we'll make sure is that the Senate Intelligence Committee has approval for the coordinating relationship between the CIA and the NED. And what you find is that if you want to be on the Senate Intelligence Committee, you are on the board of the National Endowment for Democracy or one of its subsidiaries, such as the NDI for Democrats and the IRI for Republicans. But make no mistake, the National Endowment for Democracy was created by the CIA. Both of its founders said that it was set up to do what the CIA wanted to do, but no longer had the political capital to be able to pull off. Everywhere the CIA operates, the NED operates, funding the groups that the CIA uses as assets and giving them orchestrated direction. There is no dividing line between the NED and the CIA. The NED is the CIA. Point blank, period. The NED is the CIA. So when you see social media is transforming the world in a much faster way than anyone could predict, traditional media is being challenged by internet news sources and social networks. The problem is people are relying on unfiltered alternative media. Populist messaging is spreading like a virus across the internet. That message is coming from the guy who was the architect of the Disinformation Governance Board and the Central Intelligence Agency. Who are the other participants that you're going to meet in this video? This is in 2017, okay? The other participants in this video. Now, I've emphasized lately something which I'd only really been focusing on in my book because I just haven't been able to really hit on it in a lot of my work this year. But you have to understand the Seize Eurasia plan to understand the modern political climate, the modern political world. Russia sits on $75 trillion worth of assets. The homeland of the United States only has about $45 trillion in total exploitable natural resources. Russia has, again, $75 trillion. That's the largest of any country in the world. You can look this up. Just Google Russia, $75 trillion natural resources. You'll see what I'm talking about.
Wow.
What's happening in Ukraine, what's happening in CEE, and you're going to see this phrase multiple times here. CEE. CEE is a State Department office, by the way. It refers to Central and Eastern Europe. That stretch that runs from Germany, captures both the Baltics and the Balkans. Baltics up north, Balkans down south. Finland, Sweden, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, Poland, Ukraine, and then all the different Balkanized former Soviet states, former Yugoslavia states like Serbia, Kosovo, all the way down into Greece and Turkey. And CEE is the battleground for the fight to control Eurasia. So Seize Eurasia is the master plan of the Mackinder theory, the Zbigniew Brzezinski, the pivot point for the grand chessboard of Zbigniew Brzezinski. It's what our entire post-Cold War unipolar moment was about capturing. That began to fall apart in the mid-aughts after Vladimir Putin started to reassert political influence in CEE over in Europe, principally through gas diplomacy from Gazprom, because CEE was financially dependent and resource dependent on Russia. And of course, CEE is the battleground. Just give me one second. It's the battleground of the current Ukraine fight. But this is back in 2017, 3 years after the Crimea annexation and the unexpected counter coup when NATO lost control over eastern Ukraine. And what you see here is, in addition to the Central Intelligence Agency, and in addition to DHS and the domestic censorship network that forms the backbone of CISA, the U.S. government's first domestic social media censorship agency, you have the head of public policy. Now, public policy refers to content moderation. Speech control is folded under public policy in social media companies on Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. So this is the head of censorship policies for Central and Eastern Europe of Facebook in London. The head of censorship policies in Central and Eastern Europe for Google out of Poland. A state media broadcaster from London, the BBC, so that's the British government. And let's just, we don't need to get into Leaders Link here, but understand this. The Central Intelligence Agency and Michael Chertoff, one of the arch blob monsters in the entire world. Now, by the way, I left off the Chertoff Group. The Chertoff Group was the private company that Michael Chertoff founded when he left DHS. The Chertoff Group is packed to the gills with CIA and State Department and military high-level officials. Give you an example. What was the first job that General Michael V. Hayden took when he left the Bush administration? When Michael V. Hayden was a 4-star general, so the highest-ranking general class in our military, the head of the NSA, which is the military's CIA, and the head of the Central Intelligence Agency. So that's the hat trick. 4-star general, chief of the National Security Agency, NSA, and chief of the Central Intelligence Agency. Could do anything in the world when he leaves that trifecta and puts down his God powers over the intelligence community and goes into the private sector. But what did he do? He joined to become a principal. He became the second in command to Michael Chertoff. He joined the Chertoff Group. That is where he still is today. So the Chertoff Group, with the former head of the CIA, former head of NSA, former 4-star general, former head of DHS, and the Central Intelligence Agency, gathered together the censorship heads of Facebook and Google in 2017 to lay down on Facebook and Google in 2017 what they needed to do to kill unfiltered alternative media and populist messaging, pro-Trump messaging in the US, pro-Brexit messaging in the UK, pro-Law and Order party in Poland, pro-Vox party in Spain, pro-5-star movement in Italy, pro-AFD in Germany, to one by one kill all of their accounts and all of their narratives on Facebook and Google, and to treat it their own free speech, to treat it as though it were a virus spreading across the internet. Okay, that's enough of Obi says digital gladio. Oh, my friend, when we get to the research streams on the Integrity Initiative, that phrase is going to come back in a big way. But let's leave that aside. How's everyone doing right now?
So he brings it home.
Is a montage is a montage that they themselves put together, that the panel put together. And I think that this montage is worth a breakdown going through it. Hold on a second. Let me adjust this a little bit so the full thing is. First image starts with 1917. I want you for U.S. Army. This is Uncle Sam. 1917, we enter World War I. This is the golden era. Woodrow Wilson is president, and Woodrow Wilson is the patron saint of the blob. Okay.
Blob.
Better than George Washington, better than Abe Lincoln. There's no one the blob reveres more than President Woodrow Wilson, because Woodrow Wilson was the man who declared that America's role is to make the world safe for democracy. And when you understand that democracy means blob control, and democracy promotion is how every single one of these blob creatures makes a living, that is by overthrowing foreign governments in the name of democracy, destabilizing, organizing rental riots, bribing, extorting, in the name of democracy. This is their blank slate to do that, to control governments simply by putting them through a so-called democratic transition. So they start history in 1917 with Woodrow Wilson, and they're showing a U.S. Army war propaganda poster. So this is a propaganda, hearts and minds, to get people to support the war internally. Because remember, the FBI was set up. We had a Justice Department for 30, 40 years before the FBI. The FBI was set up originally, was it 1908 or something? Mostly to round up anti-war protesters. But that's another story. Let's keep going. The next in their chart of world history is 1936, and this is a Nazi. This is a Nazi symbol over the Olympic Games in 1936, ostensibly to show how pro-Nazi propaganda was winning hearts and minds to not appreciate the threat of Adolf Hitler because of how legitimizing it was to have the Nazi government represented at the Olympic Games. Okay, so we got Goebbels, 1943, Adolf Hitler. Now, mind you, this is the framing. Just put this back on stream. This is the framing that the CIA and the larger blob apparatus stretching from the State Department, the CIA, and the Pentagon are using to prime their targets at Facebook and Google and everyone watching about the rise of pro-Donald Trump speech in an unfiltered way on social media. So they are immediately, the CIA and the Pentagon and the State Department are basically telling the social media companies in 2017 that you have to censor the internet because it'll lead to Adolf Hitler if you don't. 1960s, Elvis is alive. Now here they're getting into the connection between Adolf Hitlerism, Nazism, and generic conspiracies in the news. Elvis is alive. So they're drawing a straight line from, hey, conspiracy theories on the internet, if you squint and look at it, are just like the Great War.
Right, which is also how they demonize or they made the term flat earth synonymous with dumbass. You got to be the biggest. How much of a dumbass do you think I am? What, you think I believe in flat earth or something? You know, it's like that term is coined as the epitome of dumbassery. That's how what else have they done this on? And so, yeah, it's like we are so pre-programmed as a society. And with now their ability now, kind of what I'm seeing is they're giving us the ability to think we have free speech because they're not censoring anymore, but they know how to promote their message in the mainstream. So as to the people they don't want to become big time influencers, they know how to really keep them at bay. Okay.
1970s, more conspiracy theories. The CIA killed JFK. Mr. Clinton, please investigate the coup. So this is obviously not the 1970s. This is obviously a picture from the 1990s after the Oliver Stone movie JFK came out, which caused such a public uproar in places like San Francisco that it led to the Presidential Assassination Records Board's creation in the 1990s, which is how things like Operation Northwoods were declassified. Because in the 1990s, there was so much evidence pouring out from books being written and from Oliver Stone's documentary on the CIA's role in the JFK assassination that it led to the declassification of a substantial amount of JFK documents. And again, Operation Northwoods, the Joint Chief of Staff plan to false flag murder Americans to create a predicate for war with Cuba, pretext to war it was called, including bombing our own naval ships, blowing up our own barracks, hijacking our own airplanes, and other activities on U.S. soil planned by our own military generals. In a memo in 1962, which was only declassified in the 1990s when pressure was put from the left-wing base for the Clinton administration to open those up. So just a funny note, they got that wrong. But again, what they are trying to do is they're trying to say, hey, people on the internet, who make up conspiracy theories about the CIA are just like Adolf Hitler and will lead to mass genocide. So we had better censor the internet so that no conspiracy theories about the CIA are able to flourish. And once again, who is leading this discussion?
The CIA.
The CIA. Great gig if you can get it.
And USAID.
Mao propaganda for China. 9/11. Don't you know? Unfiltered information on the internet might lead to another 9/11. Propaganda, lies, fake news has a new battlefield. The internet. Now here they are explicitly.
Which is just so stupid. Just think about it for a second. So free speech, it can always, no one's concerned about if there is a movement of 2 + 2 = 5. Nobody would be worried about that. Why would they? Here's another one. Why would they be so concerned about flat earth? If it really is synonymous with dumbassery, you're a dumbass if you believe in flat earth. Why is it such an issue? It was in Congress. They made a big deal, huge deal about this flat earth movement. Why? If it's just so obvious that it's not flat. Okay, so you see the rope-a-dope. What's up, Crypto Viking? What's up, bro? Just got off work. Yeah. Start over, 1.5x speed. Almost done with this video. I'm going to do another one. No pics of the Earth from space. Yeah, I know. No pics of the Earth from space. Now we're going further down the rabbit hole. We're definitely in the Matrix. Yeah, start over. Good words here, because this is about Elon, you know, how much we love Elon. We love what he's doing. We love what he's done with X. It's been amazing. We love what he's doing with Doge. He's brought back freedom of speech. It's been incredible. He's rooting out and exposing all the corruption everywhere. It's just endless corruption, nonstop, 50 million times a day. We see it everywhere. All the corruption's being exposed. It's being out of here. You know, they're coming in and just cleaning things up. They're like saving our world. I drank the Kool-Aid. You know, it's like still with caution, cautiously optimistic. But I was like, man, this is just amazing. I can't even believe what I'm seeing. But what we're also going to hit on, which I haven't hit on this video yet, is, yeah, Elon Musk, he said he bought X for free speech, which is great. But could there be a deeper thing at play where he's able to promote the influencers that he wants to promote and hold down and give us the illusion of free speech? You know, you got to join the cabal, the influencer cabal. And I know that firsthand. Here's another reason why he might have bought X, is to get all the data for AI. Okay, that's an obvious one. The data for AI. And he's also, you know, we're going to hit on transhumanism. I'm going to do a separate video here right after. We're almost done here. And so, you know, we see their playbook here. We just need to be careful here at a possible deeper playbook. We can't object to anything that they're doing currently. They're cleaning house and hopefully, you know, cleaning up our corrupt government and going to balance the budget and pay off. You know, I don't know how they could possibly pay off all the debt we've got. I don't know. Could the beast, the powers that be, the world powers, who, you know, the Rothschilds and Rockefellers and whoever, Black Rocks of the world, be still controlling all this and have done all this, created all this purposefully to create our heroes to come in and get just unequivocal power, you know? So, okay.
The number one thing is endorsements for Donald Trump. Again, this is the Chertoff Group with the head of the CIA, the head of the NSA, and the head of the military. And the CIA's number one operational cutout, declaring in 2017 and gathering together the heads of the censorship offices at Google and Facebook
Like, could they really have made it this real? I mean, it hit home to so many of us. It hit home so hard. The J6, the election rigging, the freedom of speech, the nonsense, the men competing in women's sports, the just nonsense with the Department of Education, the nonsense with it's just hit now the nonsense with NASA. Just the fraud is hitting home. But there is so much more video footage I could show you guys of just nonsense that they were putting out there, claiming it was real on the news of people out there in space. And it's so fake. Any amateur video forensics person can debunk it in 5 seconds in the same way they debunk the ghost videos that we see. You know, most of those are fake. I'm not saying they're all fake. Some of them could be real. I don't know. But, you know, you watch Nuke's Top 5 or Paranormal Caught on Camera or whatever. Most of that can be debunked by video forensics experts. And they debunk it. And they have shows on YouTube that are hilarious debunking. I love watching the show, the real shows, but I also love watching the debunkers. Some of them could be real. Who knows? You know, but they're certainly priming us for Project Bluebeam, which is faking an alien invasion in order to create unity across all countries to create a one world government. You know, it's just one more potential psyop that we've been talking about for years. People have been talking about for years. So, okay, let's finish this up here. We're almost through this. This is so good, though.
That their target is to stop this from happening. Make online support for Donald Trump or something like WikiLeaks.
Yeah, so they made it so real. The hatred against Donald Trump is so loony. The only thing people really can clearly get on Donald Trump is that he can be an asshole sometimes. He's just crazy. He speaks his mind, you know, and they don't like him. They think he's slimy. They think he's shady. He's all about his own ego, you know, but you can't really, the things he's done, he has easy outs too, because look, the first time around, he had all the bad people around him. Could that all be by design? Okay. So yeah, it's possible for all we know, Elon could be the Antichrist for real. That's like a worry, but we can't, obviously we need to audit our entire government. How do we do that when there's 1.5 million NGOs, okay, that our tax dollars are funding, and each NGO is tied to, at a minimum, 30,000 and oftentimes over 100,000 shell companies. So just imagine, we're talking tens of millions of shell companies, and it's like money laundering happening like crazy, and they're auditing it and exposing it, which is kind of, it's so difficult to even audit Doge. Like, we need honest people making sure what they find is legit, but that's almost impossible to make sense of it. I've heard one person, you know, that I know who's a lawyer say that, you know, he didn't buy the condoms in Gaza. He said he looked it up and it's only $50,000 worth of condoms in Gaza. Well, and they were saying $50 million worth of condoms in Gaza. And then when you actually, they uncovered that there was $158 million worth of condoms in Gaza is the actual number. So from 2016 to 2024, 158 million is and that was from the USAID website. But it's like, it's just like they have the data out there. Average Joe Blows like you and me. Now, he's a lawyer. He knows how to look that stuff up. I don't know if he spent more than 10 minutes looking into it or not. And I've been trying to find people out there contending. Okay, here's another just little red flag. Where are the people contending the numbers? There are people contending the numbers, but are they controlled opposition people controlling the numbers? Because every time I see somebody contend the numbers, they get dunked on. And, you know, and it turns out that Doge was right. The prodigy Doge team of these amazing prodigy people always end up being right. Okay. But are they censoring? Not censoring, quote unquote. They're just not promoting people that might be, maybe Doge on some of their findings is wrong. How do we even find it? How do we find the right people? Is it controlled opposition that are so-called finding, you know, false information, which I see it every day, and then they end up being wrong? So the people that are contending against Doge always end up being wrong. That we see. I'm sure there's guys out there on Facebook, you know, that have 100 followers that are like putting out information that are just ignored. Nobody sees it because, you know, that stuff's not promoted. I don't even know how to find it. That, you know, that's one thing I've been having my radar up hard, just trying to find every day people, naysayers that are saying, no, I looked it up and here's the documents, the data that I found, that it's inaccurate what Doge is saying they found. Okay. Every time I see somebody doing that, those are the people wrong. Could that be also controlled opposition? So, because I haven't heard one single person show any valid proof in any media anywhere, on including Twitter, that it's like on the condoms example. If that's true, what my lawyer buddy said, it should be everywhere. You should be able to find it. But are they suppressing the speech? Not censoring, just keeping it on the no-fly zone when you try and search. Like you guys saw me. I tried to search where the Twitter executive said I saw the video somewhere. Maybe I saw it on a Whitney Webb video or something. Whitney Webb, or they showed that the X person said, not everyone has the right to free speech, but not everyone has the right to have their free speech promoted. But it rhymed. I forgot the phrase. I tried to just search for it live here, couldn't find it. So,
which embarrasses a blob favored political candidate like Hillary Clinton. Donald Trump supporters get their news from a strange media. You noticing a pattern here? Can they be any more explicit about what the CIA is telling Google and Facebook to censor in mid-2017?
And so this is common knowledge now. It's like, and it has everyone pissed off. Even Democrats are coming over to the right in droves because this is all being, and now it's so obvious. They're, you know, the Dems out there rioting against the Doge takeover. Oh, wait, you don't want the government to be audited? What are you hiding? But it's controlled opposition. Everyone's pissed off. They're just fueling the fire all the more for Doge to get in there and audit everything. And it's been amazing. Like, you can't deny it. It's been amazing. Could it all be by design?
Can democracy withstand revolution? And again, they don't mean democracy because they're in democracy. They mean blob control. They mean a democracy of their own foreign policy establishment institutions, of their own institutions.
Can our communist government withstand an information revolution? That's the real translation there. Can a existing communist world, we're all completely controlled by the powers that be? They own the media, they own everything. You know, how genius it is. How genius it would be if they've created all this and then created Elon and maybe Trump to be the controlled opposition now that has all the power and has all the support from everyone fighting just like they did with vaccines. They caused 70% of the world to become the vaccine promoting cabal. They just created a bunch of vaccine promoting evangelists and mask wearing evangelists and made trillions of dollars doing it. You know, one thing also that I saw Elon makes MRSA vaccines too. I didn't even know that. Did you guys know that? Apparently, that's another thing that he does.
The election of Donald Trump was democracy at its finest. The Brexit referendum was democracy at its finest. But because it undermines the CIA and the military and the State Department blob structure, they are now worried that their entire control over the world, from the Woodrow Wilson era to present, may crumble because of the information revolution. Now, again, this is before they would really lean into the phrases misinformation and disinformation. Notice they were still calling it propaganda and lies and fake news. They had not formalized that military disinformation language.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome the moderator of the next session, Kate.
Can you guys hear this all right? Is that volume all right?
Globe sec.
So good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon to our audience here in Bratislava and to our many viewers watching us around the world on.
Okay, it's over. So, I mean, his stuff is so good. And he has touched on, but he doesn't hammer it home about possible concerns with Elon. So, what a genius move to create. You know, it's like they don't just they have the obvious misinformation campaigns that everybody sees, that has their eyes opened, that's just plain as day obvious. Men shouldn't be competing in women's sports. The biggest threat to American democracy is not white supremacists. Anybody with any common sense knows that. Now, a lot of people are so indoctrinated by it and actually believe it. That was disturbing. And that's when I was like, humanity is hopeless, that people are actually believing this. People are actually believing this nonsense. And then I didn't think Trump would win. They just created this so well, if it's true, because we know they rigged the election. One of my questions was, how the hell did they fix the elections this time? I guess because of COVID, they did all the mail-in ballots so much. There's a lot more even to uncover with that I didn't even touch on when I was talking about how they rigged the elections. There's just so much obviousness, but then what's not so obvious is what we could find out 5 or 10 years from now, just like the people in Germany and Russia and over there with the communism that overtook, realized over time what happened. It's just another form of control. It's another form of controlled opposition, and they do it so masterfully. We even talked about in the last one, like, gosh, it does, like Satan told Jesus in the Bible that he had control of the whole world. And that if Jesus would just bow down to Satan, that Satan would give it all to Jesus. Satan would give it to Jesus. That was the temptation. And, it's like the beast might just be controlling all of this. So we just need to have our eyes wide open to this. It's good. Okay. Yeah, baby. Trump had too many spies around polling locations this time. Yeah, that could be. That's what I'm hoping. This time he said, F that. Yeah. I'm hoping that, maybe he did like come to Jesus and that bullet missed him. And, I'm loving everything they're doing. I mean, at face value, it's incredible. It's like the most amazing. It's more amazing than the Revolutionary War and the Declaration of Independence and the Bill of Rights. Like, that was such a game-changing part of history that we've hardly, almost basically never seen. George Washington refused to become king. He became the president instead, and they created, freedom, and then created, the United States. In spite of its corruption that's happened, just that little amount of freedom has caused it to become one of the, the world power, and just all the awesomeness that's gone on, the freedom and good things that's happened. Okay, so that was my thoughts. It's like this, if this is really happening, it's like Trump's woke up. Joe Rogan woke up. Elon woke up. All these people are doing great things. Well, it is amazing. All the fraud being exposed. I mean, if Ron Paul, is he going to actually be auditing the Fed? He's fighting against the World Economic Forum, the WHO. Day one, I never would have imagined that he would have signed an executive order to get out of the WHO, to get out of part of the UN and throat punch the EU and take on the powers that be, and just, it's just been amazing. On and on and on. Maybe he is, you can't object at face value to anything he's doing. It's awesome. But it's like, man, could this be the plan all along? Okay, I'm going to end, and I'm going to go live right away on the transhumanism stuff and how Elon could be behind that. And the AI, could X also be purchased it for freedom of speech? That's what he said. But is it also to control, maybe not censor the speech, but still be able to control the narrative, so that us peons feel like we still have free speech, but where he can still control the narrative, because you got to be a part of the cabal, the influencing cabal, to really get promoted on Facebook and on Twitter. I mean, could it also be purchased to develop his AI, because he wants to put the chip in us? That's what we're going to talk about next. Here, give me 5-10 minutes. I'm going live again, baby. Love you guys. Start over, 2x speed through that bad boy, especially the first 45 minutes. Love you guys.